All right, here we go. Nick, welcome back. Welcome back to the show. Your long reprieve.
Trade.
And we're back better than ever. So you picked a good night to come back on. Just don't ruin it here.
Yeah, Alexis, I need you here, brother. I need you. I need you to let me stay on Chatterbox because I enjoy doing this. I missed it. I missed it the last 2 nights, Trace. I did.
Yeah,
you did a nice job.
And I know Reed Mouse is without question just he's sitting right outside the door. You know what I'm saying? He's without question going to be sitting right outside the door. He won't come in. He will not come in if things go the way they should. But you bet just know that he's sitting outside the door. A lot of good things to get into for tonight. We got Alexis Diaz trying to close this bad boy out, though, before we get to it. You know what I love? I love the fact that I get to watch this game on YouTube TV. Boy, I tell you what, it is so nice. It's incredibly nice.
Yeah, a little Fox action tonight.
Little Fox action, yeah.
All right, where are we at? I just saw the first pitch. How's our YouTube?
I am behind, but I might be able to catch up. Trying to get on the Twitter bird now and.
You want me to pause it and sync up here?
No. I don't want you to pause it.
Oh. Just trying to get back in the.
Man, are you ahead of a 2-1 count right now?
I'm at 3-2.
Wow.
3-2, brother.
How am I that far behind?
I don't know, man.
Am I the only one that's just this far behind?
I tell you that the MLB TV is like somehow ahead of like cable and everything. They must be really pumping in the feed quick throughout the MLB TV verse.
I just got to 3-2, so you're way ahead of everybody. You're at least ahead of the people that got cable.
I just saw a 3-2 foul off, Trace.
Yeah. I've been trying to refresh it and get it to go. Yeah. I might have to try to go back to the MLB TV app. That's what I'm going to have to do, aren't I?
Well, we already got one out. By the time you get it, Lex is going to shut this down.
All right, I gotta make a move. I cannot believe it's that behind. Damn, what's up with YouTube TV? That's wild. MLB app. No.
Ooh. He swung. No. Thought he swung.
Let me give this one more shot. If it doesn't work, I'm just gonna have to be behind.
That's close.
Sounds like he hit somebody? What happened?
Yeah, he hit by pitch. I think it was the right call. It looked like on the first replay to me. It looked like he swung, but
okay.
The replay looks like he just held up.
What's up with closers, man? It seems like they always find ways to walk guys or hit guys, and
well, it's like if you have a 3-run lead, you gotta
make it interesting.
You gotta put one guy on base. I mean, it's just boring otherwise. You know?
Yeah, I don't believe in that, but all right, I'm gonna have to go back to being 2 pitches behind, and that's just the way it's gonna be.
Ooh. Fortunate first pitch strike. I like to see that.
I know I might be old school there. Not even old school, but just like non-analytical guy. I hate that. Just seems like a dumbass move. I don't like your reactions, Nick.
Yeah, tying runs at the plate. I'd say the wind is blowing out or blowing in, but India has hit 2 out.
We're not talking about that. See, let's not talk about balls going out of the stadium right now. Let's talk about balls going on the ground, getting double plays.
That would be ideal.
Let's talk about that.
I would like that. Dansby Swanson. Reed's near
big time. Yeah, he's.
Is he a rich man's Kevin Newman? Is that what we call Dansby Swanson?
Wealthy man's Kevin Newman, yeah.
A boy, wealthy's man. Nice 1 foot hit. There you go.
Dude, I'm so far behind you.
Oh, we got 2 outs. Sorry. I should have
No, it's fine.
One down. One more to go.
You're actually play-by-play on that was perfect because I knew what happened before it happened. Why is YouTube TV this far behind? Like, this is really bad.
Write a letter, I think.
Write a letter. Well, that works. Maybe I'll get a billboard. Doesn't that usually work?
I think so. Ian Happ. This guy always makes me nervous.
No, not Ian Happ, dude.
Oh, big cut and a miss. 97, cheese. The cheese. I need to get my YouTube chat here popped out. I'm sorry, chat. I've been abandoning you here.
I don't even like the idea that Nick knows before I have.
This is not how it normally goes.
No.
Hey, by the way,
I'm almost gonna take my headphones off just so I can lock it in. But go ahead. What were you gonna tell me?
Chat. If you do not like the stream, the Reds are gonna lose, and it will be your fault.
Oh man. Better get the likes up. Get them up
get those
fast.
Likes up now. We better get that up.
Get them up fast.
If not, it's,
all right, I gotta take the
here.
headphones off. Can't listen to Nick. I gotta lock it in.
Fox and MLB want this to be interesting. This was all planned. Sit down, son! Woo! Trace the Reds are in 3rd place. They just passed the Cubs. Where you at, Reed? Where you at?
Boom! Don't get me excited. Don't let us get hot. Don't let us get hot. Don't do it. Just telling you, Nick. We got the cavalry is coming too now. Hey, they're on their way. Don't let us get hot before the rest of the gang gets in town.
How about those Cincinnati Reds, Trace?
Boy, I'll tell you what. Don't let us get lucky, Nick. Don't let us get lucky and win like the next 5 or 6 in a row. Probably not going to happen, but just saying. Just warn. I tried to warn everybody about that getaway game, just like I did in Oakland.
Hey, Trace.
But golly day, what a beautiful day.
Trace, if it wasn't for that loss in Oakland, the Reds would be 2 back right now. I mean, that just changed the whole season. Ruined the whole season.
Listen, it was a big swing game. But at some point in this season, I got to get my mentality over the spilled milk. I can't keep crying over it, okay? So I'm getting closer and closer to moving past it. But we had a beautiful baseball game that happened today on Fox. Not that there's any disrespect towards Bally. There is none. But you can notice a difference when the game's on Fox and Apple TV and Bally. Just kind of a different animal. Not because of the broadcasters. I love Sadek's great and all that. I'm not getting it. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about pure cameras, I guess is the term I'd like to use. The cinematic photography that is used. It was a beautiful thing, Nick.
Well, and that Fox Saturday baseball theme just absolutely bangs.
Yeah.
It doesn't get better.
Hoosier Daddy said Trace is hosting a playoff watch party at my crib. Entire chat's provided. I will tell you this right now, and this is without a doubt. I will, for the chat, some of the chat doesn't even know, but we will pull out the big screen, and I will pull a permit somewhere, probably in the city of Hamilton, and we will shut a street down and have a Chatterbox Reds watch party. That's a fact. I actually guarantee that. Mark my words.
I'll drive down. Let's ride.
Well, there's only one place to start, Nick. That is the box score recap. There's a lot of positive things to talk about, but before we get into all that, let's go through the novel that you have, which is probably the box score recap, because you're so well prepared. Meanwhile, when you were gone, I was like a lost puppy trying to keep up. But I'm glad to have you back, Nick. Hit him with the box score recap.
It's good to be back. And I think you said it best when you said, "You are the passion, I am the prepared." As I was driving up I-71, listening to the replay on YouTube in the middle of the night last night, I got a good kick out of that. That was a fun way to say it.
Right. Shout out Xavier too, by the way. Before we get into this, they punched their ticket in the NCAA tournament. So congratulations to all you Xavier fans. Beat UConn on a Game 7 in their tournament. So congratulations to Xavier. But this isn't a Xavier show, so that's the most love they're gonna get.
All right, box score recap. Reds fell behind 4-1 early in the game. Brandon Williamson, he was just okay tonight. Allowed 4 runs over 4 in the third innings. But Trace, as we've seen all season long, these Cincinnati Reds, they don't let a 4-1 deficit bring them down. They fight back. Top of the third, TJ Friedel doubled. Jonathan India drove him home. That made it 4-2. Top 5, TJ Friedel walked. Matt McLean singled. And Jonathan India hit his first home run in 20 days to put the Reds up 5-4. Kirk Casale gave the Reds a little insurance run in the 6th with a single to make it 6-4. And then in the top of the 7th, Matt McLean leadoff single, and Jonathan India with the wind blowing in. Ballpark Pal said it was almost impossible to hit a home run tonight. Jonathan India said, nope, I'm not only going to hit one, I'm going to hit 2. And he hit a second one to make it 8-4. Reds bullpen nails Buck Farmer. I tell you what, this guy's underappreciated. He is pitching really, really well. Inning and 2/3, scoreless. Jabot gave up a run, but Young and Diaz each scoreless innings. Your Cincinnati Reds win 8-5, and the Reds are now in 3rd place in the NL Central, just 4 games behind the Milwaukee Brewers.
Unbelievable. I mean, it is quite remarkable. Do you realize? I don't know where we at as a fan base, where we want to get to, where we want our brain to get to when it comes to how good this team could end up being. We got a lot of young players, right? Like, many of these guys that are producing aren't the rental players Those aren't the guys that we were like, hoping would have a good year. They're guys that we just were basically expecting to probably get their feet wet, and then maybe next year they'd have a good year. Spencer Steer, I said at the last podcast, I did the podcast before that. Nick, is he a rookie?
Yep.
Oh, he is a rookie. Yeah, he's a rookie. The guy that hits leadoff for us, maybe the best player on our team, TJ Friedel. How old is he? Do you know off the top of your head? If you don't know, just guess.
24.
All right. The guy that hits second in our lineup.
He's 27.
That's close enough, Nick. We got a lot of team control. How about that? Let's just talk about how much more team control we have of guys. That'd probably be the better thing to do. Yeah, that's the better thing to do. Anyway, the guy that hits second on this team, I'm pretty sure we have 6 years of team control. 6 of them, yep. Jonathan India, 3 more years. He's going to be a tricky one. But you get where I'm going with this. I can't tell you how excited I am for the future of this baseball team. And it largely stems around the fact that a lot of the guys that we came to expect to basically hope are good look the part. They really do. They look comfortable more than anything. Like TJ Friedel's having fun. He's out here acting like he's losing balls in the lights. Now, how much that actually ended up mattering, I don't know. We'll get into that in a little bit. But TJ Friedel's just having a blast, acting like the ball. You can't see the ball. Oh, nope, I actually can see it. I think that McLean's, he's making plays. And Spencer Steer, by the way, should be these infielders' best friends. He saves more throwing errors for these guys in the infield than, I don't want to say as any first baseman I've ever seen, but he saves a lot of throwing errors. But Stevenson's starting to look himself again. India is probably the thing that we want to talk about first. Your overall thoughts on the game, I guess, and then we'll get into India.
Yeah, just, this team just, they fight. Typically they don't hit the home run ball tonight. They were able to get a couple out, but,
right.
These guys just, it's a lineup full of guys that, yes, there's holes, but every guy fights every at-bat. Every guy
compete.
Compete. That's the best way to say it. And this bullpen has just been incredible. And that's why the Reds are 4 games back. The Reds are 4 games back because of the bullpen, number one. That's where you start. And then there's been other good, pieces. Hunter Green making the great start yesterday. The line is bigger, but the bullpen has kept the Reds afloat.
Dude, this bullpen is out of this world. I don't. It's like laugh out loud funny. It's almost so funny because I just think back into the old Bluebird app the first week we were playing baseball, and we had people out here screaming at me, telling me that this bullpen was the only reason that this team can't win this year. I mean, come on, man. This shit's funny. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're driving in the morning tomorrow. I don't care if you're sitting on here after about 12 beers tonight or if you're sober as a lark. That is hilarious that the Bluebird app had the bullpen as the worst thing on this team, and it turns out it is without question the best. Really quickly, I do want to bring up something before I move and forget about it. David Brown brings up a great point. Williamson, Weaver, Lively, they have been instrumental in us continuing to compete, as you say, being a part of a relevant conversation. Because the big three, I don't know what we want to call these guys. I hate to call them the big three because I feel like that almost puts a little bit too much of a bullseye on them. But the big three, if you will, have not been, outside of the last start, obviously, for Hunter Green, have not been maybe cracked up to what we thought they were going to be. It is quite remarkable that we're in the spot we are when we have not got the production out of those guys that we thought we would. But Jonathan India, you heard it on the broadcast. They hinted around the subject about what was going to happen with him, with these guys pushing him from behind, whether he was going to move to the outfield. You heard it. We're not going to get into that. He was a hell of a player tonight. We have said it from time and time again. I'll reiterate it. I'll let Nick expound on the point. We love Jonathan India. I think he's a gamer. I think he's a competitor. I think he's good for this clubhouse. I think he's a very likable player. All the things that you would want in a baseball player, I think Jonathan India possesses. I'll leave it at that for tonight. He had a hell of a game. We should appreciate him no matter what happens in the future with Jonathan, it is very nice to have somebody like Jonathan on our team.
Yeah, I agree. And he had really been struggling of late. So this was just great to see him just go out and I mean, really tonight he put the team on his back, carried him back in this game. Yeah, he's a great player, great hitter, great leader, all those cliches you want. He fits every single box that you want there, and it's just awesome to see him have a big night, and hopefully he can carry this, because when Jonathan India's hitting well, and then you have TJ Friedel and Spencer Steer, and the next guy we'll get to, Tyler Stevenson, and all these other guys, Jake Fraley around
Matt
him.
McClain.
Yeah. Obviously, Matt McClain, the guy's hitting better than anyone on the team right now. It's at least a really, really dangerous, top of the order into the middle of the order.
Yeah, like the stream right now. We have a good amount of people in here. If you're just tuning in for the first time, we do this after every single game. We appreciate you being here, but we're going to keep it moving. Yeah, I really don't want to get into the whole Jonathan India situation, because I feel like it always turns into, whenever you try to compare, it always reminds me when you try to compare two great quarterbacks, the conversation stops turning into how great the quarterbacks are, and it turns into what the quarterbacks can't do as good as the other guy. So it turns into this like tear everybody down, and that's not what I want to do with the India situation. I think that he's a great player. We should continue to try to be hopeful that he's a Cincinnati Red for as long as we can keep him, and we'll leave it at that. It's Tyler Stevenson. He was on the chopping block, at least on my case, for quite some time this year. He didn't look like himself at the plate. He has lacked power, and that's okay by me. I don't think that's the problem with Tyler Stevenson, in my opinion. I don't look at Tyler Stevenson and think, okay, if he can't hit home runs, then he's worthless. But defensively, he struggled, and it just felt like we were kind of spiraling out of control with Tyler, and he has gotten himself back into a situation now where I think he looks himself. And your overall thoughts on what you've seen from Tyler, and since you've been gone, he's kind of turned this thing around a little bit, Nick.
Well, yeah, and you mentioned the power. Well, yeah, it hasn't hit the ball out of the ballpark, but that's 3 of the last 4 games he's had an extra base hit, a double. So that, I think I said a couple of days ago, I think Tyler Stevenson's at his best when he's just trying to drive the ball gap to gap, and
that he is.
That's what it's looked like to me, at least. Yesterday I just watched the condensed game, but he looks a lot more comfortable right now, and man, that's just so good to see. You didn't want a situation where this drags into June and into mid-June where he's still struggling. This doesn't mean he's back and everything's solved and we're all happy as we can be, but it's definitely a much better feeling here on this Saturday than it was like last Saturday. So step in the right direction.
I couldn't agree more. But the only thing I would say is I can understand why some people, when they see Tyler Stevenson, he's a bigger guy. It's not like he's, he doesn't look like Tucker Barnhart up there, right? Like there's some depth to Tyler Stevenson. The ball that he hit to left center tonight, which I don't have Savant up or StatCast up right now. I'll dig it up as we get through the show. That's a ball that I think that many people would hope that he'd be able to drive out of the ballpark. He hit it well. Ball got caught right in front of the ivy, which we can get into in a minute. I know many people hate the ivy. Many people hate Wrigley Field and don't love the idea of it being a brick wall and guys can get hurt. And Friedel certainly looked like a huge scare at the beginning of this game. But I don't mind it. We can get into that in a little bit as we wrap the show up. But to finish my thoughts on Tyler Stevenson, I hope he continues to be who he actually is. I said that on the last show. He is a gap-to-gap guy. He is a competitor at the plate. He has, and I'm not going to compare him to Joey Votto because I think that's just incredibly high praise, but he does, when he's going well, he does have an eye similar to a Joey Votto. He lays off close pitches. He's very disciplined at the plate, and if he continues to be that kind of player, we can find a spot for him. Williamson, I don't know if it required him to get called up to the big leagues to get a shock to the system a little bit and just start to find a way to win and compete, but that's almost kind of what it felt like, right? Do you think that there's a chance that sometimes in the MILB, minor league baseball, that I don't want to say these guys go through the motions, but they just kind of get beat up, right? You don't have the best living arrangements. It's not like you're treated like a superstar. You're bouncing from one city to the next, and if you have a couple bad starts in a row, then you just start to think to yourself, man, this is just never going to work for me. I'm never going to get a chance up there. And then you get a call up when you didn't expect it probably, and then boom, just like that, there's a jolt to the system, and this guy's somebody different.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably some merit to that. I mean, he came up and pitched that great start in Coors Field, and that I think it helped build some confidence as well. Brandon Williams has just been okay so far. I mean, he's got an ERA of 5.02, so that's okay. But that's great for Brandon Williamson. You could not have asked for anything more than what he's given the Reds through. This is his fourth start, third start, fourth start, whatever it is.
I think it's third.
But every game he's given the Reds a chance to hang around, be in the game. I can't tell you how many starts of Brandon Williamson I turned on at AAA where there was no chance. The bats had a chance to win. And all three starts has given the Reds a chance to win. So
right.
I don't know how long he'll be able to keep this up, but he's competing out there. He's still walking. He can walk three guys, and I don't love that. I know his defense wasn't great behind him tonight. Did allow a lot of hard hit balls. Probably the wind helped him out a little bit as well. But I was listening to the first couple innings on the radio, and I thought Cowboy made a good point about how, he was giving up some hard hit balls, but he thought that was a more strategic with Kirk Casale behind the plate, throwing the fastballs more up in the zone than he normally does because he knew the wind was blowing in and he could live up there a little bit more. So, but yeah, I think Williamson's been okay, and that's great for where the Reds are right now.
Here's my thing with Williamson tonight. I think sometimes put it this way, over the course of a long season or over the course of an extended period of time, stats usually prevail, right? They usually tell the full story, or they tell most of the story. In the limited amount of work that he's had, not only in the minor leagues this year at the beginning of the year, but then also I would say definitely his little stint here in the big leagues, is today's a perfect example of how sometimes the stats or the box score can lie. I don't think it should have been called an error on McLean. I know many people do. That ball was hit really hard, and just the way that McLean played it, I don't think you can score it an error because, in my opinion, an error should be a routine play that should be made. But I guess in a weird way, I would say that is a play that he should have at least got an out on. So I guess from my definition, I guess I would have charged McLean an error, but I can see how it was a hit, I guess what I'm getting at. Between that and then the flare to right field that Fraley kind of just bobbled around, and if he would have come up with it clean, he would have been able to throw that guy at the plate without question if he would have even gone. So I do think that the defense let him down a little bit tonight, but nonetheless, he bounced back. He gave us a chance to win, and that's all you can ask. And then we already talked about the bullpen a little bit at the top of this show. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say. I mean, they come in and I want you to do me a favor, Nick. You put a tweet out there about Buck Farmer. Can you do me a favor? Do you have recall like that? Are you able to pull that up on the fly and let the people know what Buck Farmer has done in your little tweet?
Yeah, I got it right here. Last 16 games for Buck Farmer, a 1.34 ERA. That's covering 20 and a third innings. You might remember first couple of games of the year got roughed up a little bit. Since then, he's been as dominant as anyone. But even the bigger picture, so Buck Farmer last year made the Reds out of spring training, really struggled the first couple months of the season, got sent down to AAA right at the beginning of May. Didn't come back up until July 9th. Whatever he did down in Louisville, it worked. Since he came back on July 9th last year, this is over 60 and 2/3 innings. He has a sub-3 ERA at 2.84. I mean, this guy's just been awesome. I think he's just like so unheralded in this bullpen, because you have Alexis Diaz, who deserves all the credit. You have Lucas Sims, who throws just some of the nastiest pitches and deserves all the credit. But Buck Farmer's been as consistent as anyone and has been such a huge weapon for the Reds. And he's a free agent at the end of the year. He's one of the few players on this team that is actually a free agent at the end of the year. So kind of interested. You hate to trade a guy that's been that good, but he might be the one best trade piece that the Reds actually have right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is if we're not hanging around first place at the end of this year. I mean, I would think that Buck Farmer's not going to yield enough to get back in return if you're somewhat in a playoff situation. But you're right, not to get too crazy. But if the Reds aren't in a playoff position come deadline, which is more than likely, if we're being completely frank, then it is nice to have an opportunity to move somebody and get something in return. And he's been good. But you said in your tweet that he had gotten recalled. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So you mean to tell me that this Reds organization sent a guy down, and he got a chance to get his feet back underneath him, and then they actually called him back up, and he started to play well again?
Trace, you're not going to believe this.
Interesting.
The guy that's hitting leadoff for the Reds.
Oh, really?
That also happened to him. He went down. And he looked really bad the first couple months of the year and came back up, and he's been legitimately one of probably the top 20, 30 players in the National League over the last 365 days.
Yep. I kind of like the sound of that. So just so we're on the same page, it's okay if you go down to Louisville. It's not a big, and I'm going to say it's not a big deal. It's a little bit of a big deal. Sometimes you go down, you never come back, but more times than not, if you got the goods, it's not that big of a deal. If you come up and you're not ready, you get sent back down, you work through some things, you come back, and you might just end up being a great player. No big deal. Final quick thoughts here. We have 120, 119 in here right now. That might be a record. I'm not sure. We appreciate you watching. Do me a favor and hit the like button. It's on the little bottom of the YouTube channel. The more likes we get, the better the algorithm treats us inside of YouTube. Don't ask me. I don't ask questions. I just tell people to do those things to help us out. We really do appreciate it. we're loyal Reds fans. Nick is a very, very knowledgeable Reds fan. I am one that is passionate about the Reds and can kind of have some interesting insight, I think, on some games. One is this. When I was watching the game, there was one what I would consider a big play that happened that kind of would get glossed over, right? If this was a playoff game, this would be a huge moment. Stuart Fairchild hits a ground ball to third base. It's a double play ball. There's one out in the inning. The throw to second just slightly offline. It caused the second baseman just to have to hesitate just a little bit when trying to turn the double play. Stuart Fairchild's busting it down the line. He beats the throw by, milliseconds, right? So it was so close that you consider challenging it. They review it. They don't officially review it, but you watch it, the replay on the broadcast, and you see that he's safe. That gives Kirk Casale an opportunity to come up with 2 outs with the guys on the corners. He gets a base hit, knocks in, drives in a run. You kind of keep that momentum going. Those are just, again, the small, small things that in a grand scheme of a baseball game add up to being big moments. So Stuart Fairchild, although I know that we probably would have hoped for him not to roll over a ground ball there, it is nice to see guys with some sprint speed able enough to get down the line or quick enough to get down the line to beat out double play balls. So shout out to Fairchild for that. And shout out to Casale for, at this point, I know I think I seen something earlier in the chat. Is he 9-0 when starting as a catcher?
I don't know. They've been. It feels like they win every time. He's an unheralded guy too, and I think he's a nice mix with Malley, who's a younger catcher that obviously has a little bit more offensive upside. And then obviously today's not the day. I don't want to talk about Tyler Stevens' deficiencies on this day, but nonetheless, he's been a really nice steadying presence and has obviously worked well with Brandon Williams. He's caught every one of his starts, and he caught a bunch of those bullpen games too that the Reds won.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find it. If someone that's probably still watching that put that in the chat earlier, if you want to jump in and say he's 8-0. EK Blitz is saying he's 8-0. He's like 2 full points on an ERA, catcher ERA, which I know Fred made fun of that a little bit earlier this year. I don't know if I believe in that either, Fred, if we're being completely honest. I think that there's a little ambiguity. Is that the right word I'm looking for? There's a little gray area with that stat for me. However, 2 full points better than everybody else makes me start to think that there's something to that. So I don't know. Kirk Casale, he was hitting about $130 today entering the game, But if you're going to be able to find ways to win as a catcher and your claim to fame is being a staff guy, then I guess I'll believe it till I don't. Any other parting thoughts here on today's game, players in general, before we jump into Reds MILB, because the time is ticking, Nicholas. The time is ticking.
Not just good to see the Reds playing well. Good to see the Reds go up to Chicago, win a series. Man, it'd be awesome to sweep those guys tomorrow. The big spending Chicago Cubs that were declared back. I don't know. It'd be pretty cool if the Reds went up there and swept them. I would enjoy that, Trace. I would enjoy that very much.
All right, Reds MILB. I will let you get through your notes without trying to interrupt you. I'm going to shut my mouth, but I am fired up and I am going to let it rip because it is time, Nicholas. It is time, and we're going to talk about it.
We have all finals in the Reds minor league, which is not normal but exciting. So you can actually kind of go through a little bit here, but. Louisville, 6-4 winners over Syracuse. Trace, Louisville Bats have won 5 straight games. This is a team that has struggled year after year after year. They are now 26-23. Ellie De La Cruz, 2 for 4 with a double. The double was 100.6 off the bat. Single 104 off the bat. Christian Encarnacion Strand, he was 0 for 4, but my man took a bases-loaded walk tonight.
Oh, baby. He's ready now.
Hey, that was what I was waiting for. He took that one walk. Call him up. All right, Chucky Robinson, 2 for 5, hit his 6th home run of the year. Chucky, I just love what he's doing. We got a 4th catching option. Ricky Karcher, this is one guy I wanted to talk real briefly about. 2 shutout innings today. This was a guy that was really, really struggling at the beginning of the year. He's not allowed to run in his last 9 games, 11 1/3 innings. This was a guy that Nick Kroll talked about as a guy that he really liked. Reds protected him on the 40-man roster this offseason. Really struggled, but has pitched well of late. Maybe he'll get a shot here at some time in the big leagues, but he just walks so many guys that he's a guy you're going to call up and you're just going to say a prayer. Daniel Duarte, another reliever, because we always get these questions about relievers, so I've been trying to focus a little bit more on them. Who's the next guy getting called up when there's an injury? Daniel Duarte, sub-1 ERA in the month of May. 10 2/3 innings pitched, 0.84 ERA. He pitched another scoreless inning today for the Bats. Dang. So yeah, two relievers pitching well. We got a plethora of relievers out here. I love it.
Smokes, man. Chattanooga,
they were the only Reds minor league team to lose on this night. They lost 5-2 to Rocket City. Not really a whole lot in this game because Noelvi Marte did not play. Got a day off, but Alan Serta did hit a home run, his 4th of the season. High A, Dayton, they beat South Bend 4-3. Dragons have won 4 in a row.
Baseball games everywhere.
They're creeping up to close to 500. They're 21-23. Jose Acuna, another solid start, 5 innings, just 1 run. ERA now at 2.41 through 37 innings pitched. So another rising Red starting pitcher. Unfortunately, on the offensive side, they did score some runs. It wasn't any of the guys that we're counting on. Edwin Arroyo, 0 for 4. Continues to struggle. He's only hitting .188, 559 OPS so far. Austin Hendrick was also 0 for 4. So the only, I guess, the only really bummer in the Reds prospects is probably Edwin Arroyo by now, but he's just so young. Got to be patient with him. All right, and then lastly, Daytona, 9-5 winners over Lakeland. Tortugas have won 2 in a row. Cam Collier hit his 4th home run of the year. Hector Rodriguez, 3 for 3, hit his 7th home run of the year, walked twice. Hector Rodriguez hitting .304 with a .919 OPS. And then Sal Stewart was 2 for 4 with a double as well.
Nick, I want to get into something really quick. I don't know if you've seen it come through the timeline. I know Bryce Spalding earlier today put a tweet out about it, and I want to give shout out to the actual original creator. I'll find that in a minute. But it was the Japanese young kid that there was speculations on whether or not he was going to get signed and or get brought up. There was rumors that he got signed already, or he came to an agreement with somebody, and the Cincinnati Reds were a part of that. Do you have any light that you want to shine on that real fast? I'll try to find the tweet and put it up here real quick for those that haven't seen it.
I don't have any great insight or anything. I just say I do love the Reds being aggressive on the international market. Maybe even overpaying at times for some of these players that are real lottery tickets. Get as many of these guys in the system as you can. Man, you hit on one of those guys, it can really, in some ways, almost change your franchise. So I love they're being aggressive. The Reds have really been a lot more aggressive on the international market of late than they are in years past. I know they picked up a catcher this last signing period that a lot of people really, really like. And of course, that Ellie De La Cruz guy looks pretty good as well. But yeah, I like that they're being aggressive. That's really, I guess, my only thought on that.
Yeah, I'm going to put it up right now for those that haven't seen it. Let me see if I can't get this up here. Let's take this out of here and fade this guy in here. So, let's see if I can get this guy. So you can see here, sorry, this is going to be a little bit of a mess doing this in real time, but he's 17 years old. He's got about 95, 96 mile an hour fastball. And this is one of those things where this isn't the Dominican, is it, Nick? To where guys might be lying about their age. We'd like to think for sure that this kid is 17, but you can kind of see right there with his, for lack of a better term, I was hoping I could kind of zoom in on that, but I'll let that play through just for a minute. You can kind of see him just blowing fastballs by a bunch of kids that are taking pretty bad swings, if we're being completely frank. So I don't know how much we want to put stock into that, but nonetheless, the rumor is that it was about $1 million signing bonus, and there is a few teams in the mix, but there has been, like I said, for lack of a better term, there are some outlets right now that are saying that it was a National League team. There are some outlets that are even saying it's a National League Central team, and there's one outlet that's saying it's the Cincinnati Reds. So there's like 3 or 4 different outlets over there that are all hinting at the fact that it is the Reds. We obviously don't know that for sure, but just something to keep in mind that they might have signed a 17-year-old throwing 95 miles an hour. It's kind of got a unique little, I don't know what that would be, delivery method. It was kind of like a timing situation that is, it's a little exciting, something fun.
I like it. Give me all these guys.
Yeah.
Keep stockpiling that farm system.
Maybe for $1 million, I'm not trying to say $1 million is nothing, but it is a decent lottery ticket. It's not like that's not crazy money when it comes to all the different types of things. And I know people, and Fred brings it up already, I know people are going to go back whenever there's a Japanese type player in this farm system. They're going to say something about Shogo Akiyama. I'm a believer. I'm not saying Shogo Akiyama is going to end up being a great player. I'm not suggesting that at all. But what I will defend Shogo Akiyama is this. He came over. The first thing he had to deal with was COVID. The second thing that Shogo had to deal with was the fact that he really never got, in my opinion, a fair opportunity. I just don't feel like he got a good shake. I'm not trying to blame David Bell. I'm not trying to put this on all of the Reds. I just think that Shogo Akiyama did not get a fair shake. I see some people saying Sin-Shu Chu, maybe, is that what they're trying to say? But that's not. I don't know. Am I wrong? And was he make a fool of myself?
Traded.
Yeah, but
traded. He was an established big leaguer when he came over here.
Yeah, he came from the Indians, I think.
Yeah. Drew Stubbs. Actually, Trevor Bauer was a part of that trade. But Trevor went from the Diamondbacks.
Sin-Shu Chu had a hell of a year for the Reds. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better year for the Cincinnati Reds. Incredible.
Well, and just because Shogo Akiyama didn't work doesn't mean you shouldn't try that market again.
Right. Yeah.
I would rather the Reds be throwing lottery tickets at players like this than signing broken down veterans. Right.
That's what I was going to say about M. Foster said what I didn't have the guts to say. I was going to say this, but I got to be honest, Foster. I didn't have the guts to say it because I didn't want to make a fool of myself. But he wasn't Japanese. He was Korean. For those that are wondering about overseas, those are 2 completely different parts of the world. Just saying. That's why I didn't want to sound like an idiot. But Foster, he got me. He kind of pulled me out of the closet there on that one. He gave me the freedom to let everybody know that he was not Japanese. I wasn't 100% sure, though, for being completely frank. But anyways, go ahead. To your point, you're right. We shouldn't be scared to go after the same market just because one guy didn't pan out.
Yeah, Reds got to be aggressive on these type of signings. And, I mean, you can't go overboard. You can't just go sign all the Japanese players or, there's got to be a balance to this. But, no, I want them to be aggressive. I want them to continue to look at things like this and see, different guys that can help your team down the road.
Oh man, this chat's funny sometimes, brother. I know I've pandered for these all night long. We really do appreciate all of you guys watching. The fact that there's 105 people watching on Memorial Day weekend, I think does two things for me. One speaks to the fact that people can watch the games. I really do think that's something. Everyone wants to make fun of Trace. Oh, listen to Trace. He's talking about how Major League Baseball, they need to get these streams on the internet, get them to where people can watch the games. It's easy access, not hard. They would grow the game. Not get into this rant again, but they really would. I think that there's a direct correlation. Maybe I'm way off base. We have some of our largest numbers watching tonight. Yes, I'm well aware the Reds won. I'm well aware that this is a fun time. But I also think it's just the fact that it was on national television and you could watch the game. You didn't have to go through, the matrix of trying to figure out a VPN in town, and you go through cable and all those ancient things that nobody has. By the way, I was at a buddy's house. That's the wrong word to use. I opened the DirecTV app on his television. Nick, terrible. Horrible. I mean, DirecTV, the worst. It was terrible.
I don't have any issues.
That's bad.
My only issue is how expensive the bill is every month. Everything else is great.
It's bad. But anyways, my point being is this. People can watch the games. It's easily accessible. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out how to be able to watch. And it is just nice. It would be nice for us as Reds fans. And on top of that, just people that enjoy baseball, it not being so damn difficult. And the other thing, people are like, oh, the Blackouts. I was in I was in Nashville, Tennessee, and I couldn't watch the Reds on the MLB app without pulling up the VPN because I was in market. This is, some dumb stuff, man. The fact that you're in Nashville, Tennessee, and they think that you're supposed to, just head on over to the ballpark. No big deal. If you want to watch the game, just drive on in. But between that and the fact that the Reds won, I think we have our most viewers. Please like the stream. That's what I was trying to get to earlier before I got sidetracked from the incompetency that is the it's going to change though, right, Nick? Tell me it's going to change.
Yeah, it's a matter of time before I think it's easy package where Reds fans can sign up for $20 a month and watch their team, and that be it. I'd love to see it get integrated somehow with MLB TV because I think the product is so good. Obviously, I'm ahead of DirecTV when it's on MLB TV, so
right.
They're doing something right on there. But it's going to change soon. It's really this just tight wire act. They're fighting between the two, but it's a matter of time. It'll change and it'll be better, and everyone can watch the Reds. I don't know though, Trace. Maybe half the people aren't able to watch the games, and they come in and just watch us buffoons talk about it. I don't know.
I don't think that's the case at all. We have 69 likes right now, 70 likes. Shout out to player formerly known as Mouse Cop, really working hard to get us 69 likes, and we really do appreciate that. We really do appreciate that, and that's a big deal for this show. We got 69 likes. We have 70 now, but we did have 69 for you, Mouse Cop. As far as the score, to remind you, the Cincinnati Reds won 8-5. They beat the Chicago Cubs. The playoff fighting Chicago Cubs this year with their wealthy their wealthy Kevin Newman at shortstop and Dansby Swanson, great player. We'll see how that all works out in a few more years as well. But nonetheless, Nick, great day to be a Reds fan. If you don't have anything left, I'm going to dunk a basketball. We're going to send everyone on their merry way. We're going to enjoy our night. But before we do all that, of course, Nick is always prepared. This guy is more prepared than David Bell. Who's pitching tomorrow and who's winning?
All right, got some notes for you. Reds, Cubs, 220. Reds going for a sweep. Graham Ashcraft need to turn around here. A rough last four starts, ERA of 12.98. That's the worst in baseball. But
he's due, baby.
He's due. The Cubs are not playing well. And, hey, the Reds have scored 17 runs in the first two games, so maybe we don't even need Ashcraft to pitch all that well. Yeah, and I don't even have any other good notes on Ashcraft. 21.6 ERA and 2 career starts at Wrigley. On the other side, Drew Smyly having a great year. Doesn't walk a lot of batter, throws his curveball 49% of the time, gets a lot of weak contact. Reds beat Smyly in his first start of the season. Reds got 9 hits, 7 runs, and chat, I promise you, Jason Vossler homered against him. But since that game, Smyly has been dominant. Hasn't allowed more than 2 runs in any of his 9 starts since. He's got a 2.13 ERA. That's the 6th best in baseball since that. But Reds are hitting lefties well. Reds have been better this year against lefties than righties. OPS is over almost 60 points higher against lefties. So we'll see. Hey, we're all gravy tomorrow. Be nice to sweep these Cubs in Wrigley. Make them real sad. Big sad.
Big sad. It's the friendly confines, and I tell you what, I completely understand the nickname now. It has been so friendly. I love it there. I love the north side of Chicago. Don't you think it's so beautiful? Pretty. That little basket they put around the outfield. Jonathan India made that thing look like Michael Jordan coming around first base. You see that? I seen it. Just gave him the old shrug. Like, what else you want me to do? We're going to sweep them tomorrow. It's going to be a beautiful thing. But before we do, I'm going to dunk. And before I dunk, I'm going to remind you that we have a podcast in podcast form that you can watch each and every day, or listen to. That's the right term. Listen to each and every day. So if you're new, like the stream, thank you for watching. I'm going to dunk a basketball. We're going to come back, and we're going to do it all again tomorrow. That's how we do it. Thanks for watching. This is going to be a nice one. This one is for Kurt Casale.
A legend.
Shout out Bucky's.